What's up, Shoreline? Pastor Eric here. And unless you're completely cut off from the outside world, you know that because of the coronavirus, we're all in lockdown. And honestly, it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. So tomorrow, we'll be unveiling what we're going to be doing as a church to keep you connected. But before then, I felt like the Lord reminded me of a message I spoke on March 1st. And in that message, if you weren't there, I spoke about what I thought revival, or the term that I used was a reawakening for God, what it would look like. And at the time of this message, I don't think any of us had any idea of where we would be right now as a community or as a country or even the world. But I believe it was God's way. Kind of looking back, I could see there was a little prophetic thing going on. It was God's way of preparing us for something amazing that I think is going to unfold. So I want you to check out this short clip, and then I'll be right back. We coined this phrase a long time ago that we're going to serve our community with no strings attached. And let me tell you where we got that. Whenever you're driving down to Disney World, you're going down I-75, you ever drive down to Disney World? And you see those billboards that say, free Disney tickets, this exit. Do you ever pull over to go get them? You do? No, you don't. Why not? Because they want to rob 4 hours of your precious life to sell you a timeshare, right? We know there's no strings attached. And a lot of people have come to see the church that way. When we started to plant the church, before we even had the church, we got a cooler of water that had Shoreline. We put Shoreline logos on them, and we went out to the intersection and where the Commons is, just to give people free water, and they wouldn't take it. Because why? Because they go, look, I know you're with the church, you have an agenda. So we decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to find organizations in our committee and our community that are doing things, and we're just going to serve from the seafood festival to the charity wine auction to supper on Saturday to Habitat for Humanity. We served at rock concerts for 103.1 The Blaze, went out there and served water to concert goers who were high out of their skulls, Here, drink some water, don't get dehydrated. We did all that because we wanted to serve our community with no strings attached. But I look back now, and this is the part I'm just scratching the surface of what God is doing, because sometimes you look back and see something that you did or said, and you don't understand how significant it was until later on. Because what if everyone in the community, in this community, that called themselves Christ followers, began to serve everyone out of a place of true humility with no strings attached? Not even the gospel. Do you know what would happen? People would begin to discover who they really are. And see, we talk about revival, Christians talk about revival. I call it awakening. We want to reawaken the passion for God. And people pray for it, and we pray for revival to come and spread in a city like a coronavirus, all of a sudden, wow, there's just revival. But you know what I think? And this is where I kind of I think what's going to happen, and here's the other thing. Wherever I go, we were down at One Hope, which is down in Fort Lauderdale, people from all over the world, and I would have people come up to us and go, hey, you know what? There's something about Destin. We've been praying for Destin. We've never even been there, but we know God is up to something. I have some friends come from Dallas. Hey, God is showing us something about Destin. I got an email the other day from Redding, California, and someone's emailing me this long email or text going, this is what's happening in Destin. And I think God is doing something in Destin, but I don't think it's just going to happen from people praying for it to happen. That's good. You know what I think is going to happen? I think it's going to happen when there's a renewed passion by the people of God for their community, a love for this community, that the people of God begin to serve this community with no strings attached, and people are going to begin to see that because they're getting served. And when they witness it, there's going to be this overwhelming urge because they're going to suddenly discover who they are. And when they discover who they are, they're going to discover that God gave them purpose and created them for purpose, and they're going to begin to move towards him. And I believe we're going to see something, but it's going to come out of when we love our community in incredible ways with no strings attached. When they say, shine my shoes, we say, yes, sir. So when I was praying this morning, I think the Lord reminded me of what I said on Sunday. And it reminded me of that talk, because if you were here on Sunday, I talked about how in the the third century actually, when there was a plague in Rome, it was the early Christ followers, it was the early church, when everyone was fleeing the cities or pushing the sick outside of their homes into the streets. It was the early Christians. It was the early church that stayed and ministered to those who were dying. And I really believe that we have the unique opportunity to be the hands and to be the feet and to be the heart of God and Jesus in our community. When a lot of people are being moved by fear we have an opportunity to show them how big God really is. And we see it. You see people hoarding toilet paper, and you go to the meat section of Publix and there's no meat there. People are hoarding things. And that's what the world does, is that when you come into a crisis like this, the world holds on tightly. And I believe that as Christ followers, God has called us to hold things loosely, that the world holds on and God gives. And so I think that we have an opportunity to be a blessing as the church, like unprecedented, like never before in our lifetime, to be church. And we say this all the time, that the church is not about a building, yet we meet in a building, but now we have a chance to prove it, to be the hands and the feet of Jesus in this time of crisis. Now, what does that look like? Basically this: when you see a need, meet it. Help someone with groceries or gas, or finding them toilet paper or meat products, whatever it is. Taking care of kids, because I don't know, you'll know it when you see it. Because I truly believe that it's this opportunity that there's going to be an overwhelming passion for God in our community when the people of God, like I said, out of true humility, begin to love our community in overwhelming ways with no strings attached, just the way Jesus did. And I really believe that when that happens, we will see a move of God in our community like none of us have ever witnessed. And again, like I said in that talk, we talk about it and we pray about a reawakening for God. But as I said 3 weeks ago, I believe it's going to come when we serve our community. And now we have that opportunity. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about this. But because we cannot meet on Sundays anymore, our team has been working hard to move all of our experiences online so that you can experience them at home with your family and with your friends. So tomorrow I'm going to be back to tell you exactly what that's going to look like. So until then, stay faithful, stay hungry for God, keep praying for our community, our world, our nation, and I'll be back tomorrow. God bless you.